Part 98. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 971. In the following days, the South Korean won rose and fell. Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin were nervous almost every day. They talked on the phone with Hong Kong. As soon as they hung up the phone, they immediately wanted to call again to understand the latest market prices at this minute. The foreign exchange market is different from other stock and futures markets. It is a global market that operates continuously 24 hours a day. At 4 o'clock every morning, when Wellington, New Zealand opens, the market in New York has just closed, followed by Sydney, Tokyo, and Hong Kong. Singapore, Frankfurt, London, and New York opened one after another. But the most volatile market conditions and the most active trading every day are between 3 p.m. and 12 p.m., when both the London and New York trading markets are open. Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin stayed in the office every day. At night, Ren Rongrong's friends at the Bank of China did not know the latest foreign exchange prices. They had to constantly talk to traders in Hong Kong to learn about the latest market prices and issue orders. When Lau Ni was in Hangzhou, Chen Yakin would send Lau Ni away from get off work at night and leave Ren Rongrong alone in the office. Otherwise, Lau Ni would still be in the company and break in and discover their secrets. In early October, for more than a week, the Korean won was trading sideways against the US dollar, indicating that the bulls and the bears were competing, and no one had reached the top. This time was actually the most dangerous time, because if there was a situation, if one party cannot hold on, it may be a rout, which will manifest itself in the trading market as a sharp drop or a sharp rise. Just like on October 28, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index plummeted 1,438 points, falling below the 10,000-point mark for the first time in 2 years. That night, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority announced that Hong Kong would maintain the linked exchange rate unchanged. The next day, on October 29, the Hong Kong stock market experienced its largest increase in history. The Hang Seng Index climbed 1,750 points and closed at 10,765 points, an increase of 18.82% that day. In one day, it can be said to be a world of ice and fire. This is the unpredictable and cruel nature of the financial market. Chen Yakin sometimes wakes up from her dreams. She dreams that they have liquidated their positions and their accounts have been cleared. You must know that because they were worried about the current market, the fluctuations during the day were too violent, and the stop-loss line was hit, and the position was automatically closed, causing huge losses. This time they decided to take the risk without even setting a stop-loss line. They believed that the Bank of Korea would not with so much energy. The Bank of Japan does not dare to play the trick of killing short sellers. The central bank's own capital reserves are insufficient, or its opponents are too strong, and the market sentiment is seriously bearish. The risk of killing short sellers is very high. If it is not done well, it will cause huge losses to itself. This is why the Bank of Japan chooses to kill short sellers in the middle of the night. When the market is at its slowest, you suddenly take action. By the time you react and want to make amends, it's already too late. In late October, the Korean won finally embarked on a downward trend, falling almost every day. Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin felt that they could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The financial markets across Asia are still in turmoil and there is an atmosphere of solemnity, but for Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin, it is their happy time. They hope that the financial crisis in Asia will be more serious. Every day, in addition to reporting daily market conditions to them, Hong Kong also faxes the latest developments in the financial market. To them, these pages of faxes are like a shot in the arm and a stimulant. They stay in a state of excitement all day long. They saw that on October 14, Kyoto Kyoi Bank in Tokyo, Japan declared bankruptcy. On October 16, the South Korea Composite Stock Price Index fell below the psychological defense line of 600 points, falling to 582.31 points, the lowest in 5 years. On October 17, the Taiwan dollar fell to its lowest price in 10 years against the US dollar. On October 22, the stock markets and exchange rates of various countries fell sharply at the same time. Except for the RMB, no other currencies in Asia were spared. Behind every piece of news, it is a disaster for the country and region where it is located, but for Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin, it is a whistle of joy. The economies and financial markets of various countries are intricately intertwined, especially those in Southeast Asia where the economies are so closely linked. For countries, any disaster in one country will definitely be a disaster in another country. Therefore, when they see the bad news from Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore, they will feel a kind of comfort in their hearts. They feel that this financial crisis is still ongoing and has not ended. Even their trader in Hong Kong, David, told them that their account has now become the focus among their colleagues, and everyone is envious of it. Ren Rongrong knew this feeling. They were the ones who had a premonition of the storm when it just came and made short orders in time. Now they have huge profits in their accounts, while for others, now the storm has arrived, and there is no precedent for such a crisis. No one knows when it will end. I don't know whether it will continue to get worse or get better. Both governments and the international community have begun to rescue themselves and Asia. At this time, people in the financial market are anxious and want to enter, but they dare not. The price is already the lowest in history. Can I still go short? At this point in time, if you enter hastily and do not grasp the timing well, you may lose everything whether you are short or long. Even all the technical analysis methods that everyone uses in normal life will fail at this time, and it will be difficult for a panicked market. Generally speaking, any unfavorable news or unexpected event can amplify the sentiment of the entire market and bring about a big wave. So everyone is in a dilemma. For Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin, it doesn't matter anymore. They have already made huge profits in the early stage. Even if they wait a little longer and make a mistake in their judgment, and then the entire market starts to reverse, for them, it is just a profit. It's just a matter of giving up and making less money. Their mentality has stabilized and they have the capital of the old god. For Asian countries, it seems that there is no end to the long dark night. On November 3, Japan's Sanyo Securities Company applied for protection under the Corporate Revitalization Act to the Tokyo District Court, which means it entered bankruptcy protection similar to that of the United States. It was announced that this Japanese company, the seventh largest securities company, went bankrupt. On November 16, the Korean won fell sharply to 1008.60 against the US dollar. David urgently called Ren Rongrong and told her that this was already the lowest point in history. Ms. Ren, I suggest you close your position. Ren Rongrong looked at Chen Yakin opposite. Chen Yakin shook her head. Ren Rongrong said to the other end of the phone, David, we want to wait a little longer. All right. On the other end of the phone, there was obvious disappointment in David's voice, but there was no way. Traders couldn't provide more suggestions of their own, let alone violate the capital side's decision. Otherwise, if a loss occurred, you would be banned. The capital side is to blame. The capital side makes its own decisions. Regardless of profit or loss, it has nothing to do with the trader. He is just the executor of orders. Ren Rongrong thought for a while and said, David, please help us adjust the take profit line to 1,650 to $1. What, Miss Ren, do you mean 1650? David was surprised and asked. Yes, 1,650, David. Ren Rongrong confirmed. David really wanted to say, 1,650, it is better not to set it up, just put it there, and never close the position. Is it possible? 1,651 to $1, how miserable will Korea be? The take profit line is set to 1,650, which means that the position will be automatically closed only when the Korean won falls to 1,650. When people are not watching the market, Renrong does not call to issue orders, even if it falls to 1,649, their orders, and the position will not be closed. Although he thought the other party was a little crazy for winning money, David still said, "Okay, Miss Ren, 1650. Renrong put down the phone, and Chen Yakin on the opposite side scolded, "Are you crazy? 1,650, how could you have thought of this? I dreamed last night, really, Yakin, I saw in my dream that the Korean won fell to 1,670. Renrong said to Chen Yakin seriously. Chen Yakin shook her head and thought, if you want to go crazy, just let you go crazy for a few days. When you wake up, you can change yourself. On November 17, Japan's century-old Hokkaido Takashoku Bank declared bankruptcy. On November 18, the Bank of Korea announced that it would provide 2 trillion won in emergency relief funds to Korean banks and securities companies through repurchase agreements. On November 21, the South Korean government requested emergency assistance from the International Monetary Fund. The situation in South Korea was under control, and the stock and foreign exchange markets stabilized. Renrong also considered whether it was time to close his position. The dream of 1,670, after all, it was just a dream. After analyzing it calmly, she felt that it was impossible for the Korean won to fall to 1,650. But on November 22, Japan's fourth largest securities company, Yamaichi Securities, declared bankruptcy. On the 25th, Japan's Diang City Bank declared bankruptcy. The yen fell sharply against the US dollar, which made Renrong hesitate again. Just when she was hesitating, the Korean won began to fall along with the Japanese yen, hitting the 10% daily limit several times and hitting the limit. At around 9 o'clock in the evening on December 13, the phone on Renrong's desk rang. Renrong was drawing a candle pattern on the wall. Chen Yakin pressed the speaker phone. On the phone, David shouted excitedly, "Renrong Miss Ren, the position is closed." Chen Yakin shouted, "What did you say, David?" 1,650 has arrived and all orders have been closed. David continued to shout on the phone. The pen in Renrong's hand fell to the ground. She ran back to the table and shouted, "David, what's the lowest point?" "Record, 1,737.60, Korea is finished," David said. "Oh, what a pity, we can't see the real offer, otherwise it would be exciting," Renrong said. David smiled and said, "It's a good thing I can't see it, otherwise I wouldn't know your heart and whether you can bear it or not. I almost fainted just now." The long and short positions were between 1590 and 1620. They fought for almost an hour and I almost couldn't hold it in. If I can't hold on, I'll close the position manually. After hanging up the phone, Renrong felt regretful and shouted, "Yakin, my dream was right. I should have set 1,670. I made so much less." Chen Yakin almost cried and cursed, "Renrong, that's enough for you, don't be so greedy." Renrong picked up a notebook on the table, threw it to the ground with a bang, and said to Chen Yakin, "No matter what, you help me tell Lao Ni that I will be on vacation starting tomorrow and professionally pick up men. Don't even think about letting me work again before the Spring Festival this year." Chen Yakin said, "Okay, I will also ask him to give you a bonus so that you have the funds to pick up men." "Chen Yakin, you don't have to be so vicious, right?" Renrong scolded, "What do I have less than you? Why do I have to spend money to pick up men?" Chen Yakin laughed. They made a profit of 325 million Hong Kong dollars from shorting the South Korean won. Regardless of whether Renrong spent money to pick up a man, Lao Ni, shouldn't you pay a bonus? The two of them were laughing and laughing. Ren Rong Rong suddenly lay on the table and started crying. Chen Yakin was startled and asked quickly. Rong Rong, what's wrong with you? Did what I just said make you angry? I was joking. Ren Rong Rong took out the paper towel on the table with his left hand, wiped his tears, kept waving his right hand, and cried. Yakin, you don't know. You don't know how I came here in the past 2 months. I haven't had a good night's sleep. I know, Rong Rong, Chen Yakin said. Actually, I didn't sleep well either. My aunt was late for more than 10 days last month. Fortunately, I don't have a boyfriend. Otherwise, I would have thought I did, and I would have been scared to death. Ren Rong Rong continued to speak. Chen Yakin burst into laughter, and Ren Rong Rong also laughed. Thanks for the tip. I don't know whoever asked, but I ranked third from top to bottom, and 131 on the shore. Thank you Shifang Xian, book friend 201807201259208875. Why can't I change my name, Li Yingjun, and 8 Tales of monthly tickets. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. 2 updates today. I will change the chapter that was missing yesterday. I hope it will pass. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 972. It turns out that when Lao Ni came to ask about Chen Yakin's account status, Chen Yakin always had reservations. This was to reserve space for themselves. In case the market reversed and profit-taking occurred, the pressure would not be so great. Now that all orders have been closed and all transactions at this stage have ended, Chen Yakin can tell Lao Ni the true situation of her account. The reason she gave was that she wanted to give him a surprise. Lao Ni was indeed surprised. No thinking that in just half a year, Ren Rong Rong and Chen Yakin had turned 20 million into 400 million. Although Chen Yakin repeatedly emphasized to him that this was because the Asian financial crisis happened to happen and we were on the right track again, this is not something that happens every year. In normal days, money is not so easy to make. This is how the financial market is. The greater the crisis, the greater the opportunities and challenges. We have made money, but more people have lost everything. Lao Ni smiled and said, I don't care about this, there are so many people in the world, how can I care about other people, as long as we make money? Lao Ni is not a stingy person. He gave Ren Rong Rong and Chen Yakin a bonus of 1 million each. He believed that this was the most suitable development direction for him outside of the factory where he works so hard. He has completely given up the idea of going into real estate again. Lao Ni decided to transfer another 100 million to an account in Hong Kong, and asked Lu Ligan for help. He believed that only more investment would bring more benefits, and he was also planning to expand Ren Rong Rong's financial business department. Ren Rong Rong welcomes this point. When doing transactions, there are too many daily trivial things to do. You must collect daily data and information so that you can find reliable information when you do market analysis. At that time, it was not like now. With a computer, you can find any information online. At that time, you had to find all the information from newspapers, TV, and faxes sent by Hong Kong people every day. You could excerpt with a pen what was relevant to you, including trend charts one by one, which they also used themselves. This kind of work is very boring, but it is a must-do homework. The daily workload can be said to be very heavy. Ren Rong Rong hired 2 girls as assistants for himself and Chen Yakin, and also hired a girl to do chores in the department. Lao Ni was surprised and asked Ren Rong Rong, why do you recruit women? It's convenient for women. In our line of work, you have to move around the clock, and you don't have any contact with the outside world. In the office, just wear slippers and pajamas. When you feel sleepy, just collapse on the sofa. When the time is up, you can. When I got up, there was still eye mucus in my eyes, so I didn't even bother to wipe them, so I started working immediately. It's inconvenient to recruit a man. Besides, when men and women are together, it's easy to get distracted while working. In our industry, the most intolerable thing is distraction. Why, Mr. Ni, do you want me to find a man to keep an eye on you all day long? Chen Yakin is watching. The relationship between Lao Ni and Chen Yakin had nothing to hide from Ren Rongrong, so Ren Rongrong did not shy away from it. She joked that Lao Ni pointed at her, nodded, and said, "Okay, you decide on your own department matters." Ren Rongrong said that she stopped coming to work before the Spring Festival, but she went back to her hometown and stayed at home for 2 days before running back. Chen Yakin asked her why she didn't stay at home for a few more days. "I can't stay here at all. Those ravines are not for people," Ren Rongrong said. "Every morning from waking up to going to bed at night, the surroundings are too quiet. All I hear are the sounds of ghosts crying and howling in the market. There is nothing I can do about it. I am no longer suitable for living that kind of slow-paced life." When Ren Rongrong came back, she still had one important thing to do. Her former colleagues at the Futures Company called her to tell her that the internet had just been opened in Hangzhou. All the computers in their Futures Company were connected to the internet and had foreign trading software installed. If necessary, you can now create an external disk directly on the computer. After Ren Rongrong knew the news, she couldn't stay in her hometown, so she immediately returned to Hangzhou, went to the Public Security Bureau, applied for Internet access qualifications, then went to the Post and Telecommunications Bureau, went through the Internet access procedures, bought a modem, and then bought a computer. Together with Zhang Chen, he became the first batch of netizens in Hangzhou. It was Zheng Huiyang who told Zhang Chen the news, so Zhang Chen immediately went to handle it. When the computer was connected to the modem and then connected to the phone line, the modem beeped for a while, and then made a uniform beep sound, indicating that it is connected, and then it becomes silent. When a rotating earth appeared on the computer screen and the IE browser opened, and the words "Welcome to the International Internet" appeared, Zhang Chen suddenly felt that another world had opened before his eyes. When he opened the brochure issued by the post office and saw the recommended websites, including the New York Times and almost all major news media in the world, as well as the Louvre Museum, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in the United States, and the British Museum in London, Zhang Chen felt impatient and quickly entered the website address of the Louvre. The website opened slowly, bit by bit. He then opened another window and entered the Metropolitan Museum, then opened another window and entered the British Museum. He went back to look at the Louvre, only a third of it was opened, and just this third made Zhang Chen excited. Well, this is the Louvre. There are so many good things to see in it. The same is true for Ren Rongrong and the others. When they connected to the internet through modems, the first thing they did was to register a Yahoo email address, and then told David the email address, and David sent them trading software. Ren Rongrong listened to David's instructions on the phone, installed the software, and after registering, David gave them an authorization code. When they entered their accounts and found that they could read and trade directly on the computer, Ren Rongrong felt a sense of relief. She felt as if she had wings and could finally fly. At this time, she was particularly annoyed that they didn't have a computer on December 13th. Otherwise, how exciting would it have been to stare at the real-time disk on the computer and watch the one approach 1650 a little bit. Maybe what David said is right, Chen Yakin said. I think I won't be able to control it. Maybe by 1600, I will level it. Ren Rongrong thought for a while, and it was really like this. David had no right to close the position because he didn't receive their instructions. He had to endure it no matter what. If he just clicked a few times on the computer, he could close the position by himself. It's really hard to say whether they can hold back, because for them, there is not much difference between closing the position at 1600 or 1650. No one requires it to be 1650. No, Ren Rongrong said, Yakin, I think this is too convenient. When people sit here and look at the computer, they will really lose control. If there is really no other way, just tie me to the chair, Ren Rong said. Chen Yakin smiled and said, okay, I'll tie you up, but I ended up closing the position myself. Yes, what should we do? Ren Rong was also troubled. Either this, Rong, Chen Yakin said, the computers of the two of us are only used to read the market. Molly is responsible for placing orders and transactions in the system. We are only responsible for issuing instructions, not actual operations. In this way there is a buffer, and we don't regret it before it's too late. What we fear most is impulsive trading. Molly is Chen Yakin's assistant, Ren Rong's assistant is named Beijin, and there is a new recruit named Su Aijuan. This alone is not enough, Ren Rong said, we have to divide the work. Before trading, we must first discuss a trading strategy. You and I can place trading orders, but Beijin is responsible for checking our orders. If the talisman does not conform to our strategy, if it does, she will hand it over to Molly for execution. If it does not, it will be returned and we will be reminded to reconsider. Only in this way can we ensure that our trading disciplines are strictly enforced. If we are too casual, we will mess ourselves up within 3 days. Chen Yakin said yes. She also felt that Ren Rong's consideration was very thoughtful. The operations on the market were too casual and could easily be disrupted by small fluctuations in the market. As soon as it rose a little, you wanted to be safe, but when it fell, you wanted to be safe. At one point, you are anxious to close your position and control your losses. By the time you want to enter the market again, it is already too late. This is not a good way to trade. You must know that the market is changing every minute. A drop at this moment does not mean that it will fall at the next moment. The same goes for an increase. If you don't do trend trading and just do fluctuation trading every day, you won't be able to make money even if you are exhausted every day. Just do this, Rong. You have worked in a futures company and you have experience. I think you need to write something and then we all abide by it, Chen Yakin and Ren Rong said. Ren Rong felt that what Chen Yakin said was right, so she immediately wrote out a 2-page management system, clearly spelling out everyone's job responsibilities, work content, and operating procedures, and handed it to everyone. After getting familiar with the trading software and actually starting to place orders, Ren Rong and Chen Yakin realized that they had put invisible pressure on themselves. Like many other people, they didn't know whether they should continue to short sell at this time or not. If you buy long and go short, you feel that the entire market should have bottomed out if it has fallen to this level. Going short again at this time is very risky. If you are long, for example, the Korean won, if they turn long between 1650 and 1700, it should be a good opportunity. Now that it has rebounded to around 1580, if you buy it again, you will feel unsure. At the same time, the entire market is also in a sluggish mood. The crisis seems to be continuing. There has not been any news response. The market is about to start to improve. At this time, if you want to go in and buy the bottom, you may find that you have been left in the middle. Mountainside. Ren Rong and Chen Yakin hesitated for several days without placing a single order. They were both surprised by their actions. They read various materials and information every day. Another advantage of having trading software is that market information is released every day in the software. Chen Yakin does not understand English, and the trading software is in English. Whether she understands English or not does not affect reading the market, but reading market information will definitely not work. This work is handled by Ren Rong and Su Aijuan. Su Aijuan speaks English very well. Su Aijuan stared at the computer and translated the information above to Chen Yakin. She found that half of the daily news was about Japan, and they were all negative news. Chen Yakin asked Ren Rong, tell me, Japan is in such a bad situation, why does the Japanese yen not fall as much as the Korean one? Ren Rong thought for a while and said, probably because Japan has a strong economic strength and a relatively deep family background, it is more difficult to short the Japanese yen. Ren Rong stopped what he was doing, looked at Chen Yakin and asked, what do you think? I think it's unreasonable. The yen should be worse than it is now, Chen Yakin said. Chen Yakin's words reminded Ren Rong. After thinking about it carefully, she also felt that with so many financial institutions in Japan going bankrupt, it would be reasonable for the yen to depreciate by another 10%. Ren Rong said. How about we short the yen? Chen Yakin said yes. They used 1/10 of their position to short the yen when the yen was at its highest point that day, 119.02 to the dollar. When shorting the yen, they were very careful and set up stop-loss lines so that if the Bank of Japan killed short sellers, they could control their losses. Thank you to the 10,000 Years White Ticket Party, Dal Tin Soldiers, and Daily Pages for the rewards. Thank you, Lulu6717. P11. A monthly pass for a bluefish and Shifang's yen in the book. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Stay healthy everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 973. September has passed, and October is almost over. The weather is no longer so sultry. Although it can still make people sweat profusely during the day, the wind in the morning and evening is already cool. Lu Ligan especially likes to watch the night when it is dark. When it's dark, I stand in the garden above the dynamic zone and look at the next door. Zhang Chen stood upstairs and looked down from the window. As long as he saw Lu Ligan's car parked in the parking space inside their company, Zhang Chen would definitely see Lu Ligan when he walked out of his office and passed through the small door. The Pole stood there. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Are you projecting all your attention to beautiful women here now?" Lu Ligan also laughed, "This is more beautiful than a beautiful woman. No matter how beautiful a beauty is, you only have a week at most to keep her beauty fresh. What you will find next is that she can also fart, and it turns out that she can fart too. They don't pay attention to hygiene. They drool when they fall asleep and have bad breath when they wake up. The list goes on and on. Look at this, you will never get tired of it." Zhang Chen glanced over there and said, "Why don't I see that I never tire of it?" "That's because you haven't discovered its beauty. You have to learn from that old man Li Bai. He can look at Jingting Mountain without getting tired of it. How can Jingting Mountain be as beautiful as this?" Lu Ligan continued to be poor. Zhang Chen was too lazy to pay attention to him and walked away. He walked to the basketball court to watch Li Fen and the others play basketball. This was much better than Jingting Mountain and the big pit next door. Ever since they didn't have to work overtime in the Sanbeo factory at night, Li Fen and the others would often come here to play basketball. Half of the time was spent training, and the other half was for competitions upon invitation. There were various teams that challenged them, including men's teams and women's teams. They had wins and losses against the men's team, and they had yet to lose against the women's team. The women's team has played in the middle school students team, then the college students team, and then the physical education teachers team. So far, they have no opponents, especially those physical education teachers. 2 of them are said to have retired from the provincial team and are playing. I looked at them with disdain on their faces, but in the end, they turned red in the face. Liang Fen and the others trained every day, and after their physical fitness caught up, the majesty of the past was restored. Middle-aged women always have a lot of housework to do at night, so they get off work at the factory at 5 o'clock every day, and have a quick dinner in the cafeteria. When they arrive here by factory bus, it's almost 5:30, and the competition starts when there is a competition. When there is no competition, they train together until 7 o'clock and then go home. The workers in the factory all know that they have to compete or train, so whether they are eating in the canteen or taking the factory bus, they will let them go. The factory bus will wait until all of them are on the bus before starting the train. In fact, there is also a court in the Sanbeo factory where you can train, but they are still used to training here. First, no matter how the building changes or the company changes, the place will always be the place where they were the old heroes. Playing here, they feel comfortable. Another thing is that they are embarrassed to say it, but in fact everyone understands it tacitly, that is, they train here and are more in the limelight. There are basketball enthusiasts on the sidelines. Everyone knows them and will cheer them on. In the factory, few of the working girls and boys from all over the country are interested in basketball. Middle-aged women actually want to be in the limelight. I didn't see that those who are studying the national standards by the West Lake are more energetic than the young boys and girls. They don't want to let them go indoors where no one is watching. They just want to be in public. Every night, when Zhao Jingjing gets off work at 5 o'clock, she will walk over there, encircle one of the two fields, and put up in the middle of the field from 5 to 7:30, this unit's team training field. The brand. Basketball fans who often come here to play also know that this is what they need to use for 2 points. There was no game today, Liangfen, and they were training. Zhang Chen walked over and stood watching for a while. He saw Ji Donghai sitting on the opposite side of the court, so he walked over there. Ji Donghai saw Zhang Chen walking. He came over and stood up quickly. Zhang Chen asked him how his health was lately. Very good, very good. Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Now I have nothing to do every day, so I just wait for these 2 hours in the evening to go out and do some activities. Zhang Chen looked at his face and found that it was indeed much better than before. Ji Donghai wanted to guide Liangfen and the others in their training. Zhang Chen did not want to disturb him. After saying hello to him, Zhang Chen stood on the side and watched them train. After watching for a while, Zhang Chen walked back and found that Lu Lipol was still there. Standing there, Zhang Chen cursed. Are you watching so much that you don't even need to eat? Waiting for you, Xiao Zhao and Tan Shahen have already left. They went back to eat. After dinner, the two of them took the two children to watch a movie in the evening. We are the only two lonely old men left. Where can we eat? Let's go eat spicy fish, Zhang Chen said, and Lu Ligan agreed. October has almost passed, and this year's sales are probably just like this. The expected sales climax has never come, but fortunately compared with other real estate companies, because they are the only houses in Hangzhou that can be used for mortgages, the sales have not yet reached a very miserable level. MSCAI added another 100 million to the 500 million yuan that was replaced. A total of 600 million yuan of mortgage loans were directed to the Meishaihe project through Mr. Chiao and his company. More than 300 million yuan has been used, which should be enough for this year. Come next year, the situation next year will be better after all, Tan Shahen thought to herself. After the initial panic passed, whether it was the Meishaihe River project or the second phase of Peach Blossom Spring, normal repayments began to be received. Tan Shahen thought about it. Maybe now is the time to acquire 1 or 2 projects. Otherwise, next year, after the second phase of their Peach Blossom land was sold out, they had no more houses to sell. It is too early for Hangzhou Center and Sky City to be released from the market. Besides, if the market is sluggish for 2 such large projects, they will have to wait even if they can be launched, otherwise the launch will be a flop. On both sides of the Meishaihe River, projects continued to be launched, but they were built by the joint venture Kunpeng, not their own company. Tan Shahen thought to herself that the best way was to acquire a project of no more than 100,000 square meters. There is no pressure to sell, and when it is sold out, the center of Hangzhou will reach plus or minus 0. Tan Shahen thought of the two companies that came to talk to them. Their projects did not exceed 100,000 square meters, and they were both projects that had already started. No matter which one was bought, it would be suitable. Tan Shahen called Fan Jiangguo over and asked him to he went to find out about the situation of these two companies. After Fan Jiangguo found out about it, he came back and told Tan Shahen that he couldn't have it because both families were laxy. What's wrong? Tan Shahen asked. The houses that have been put on the market cannot be sold, and the subsequent projects cannot be carried out. They are borrowing money everywhere, even if they have 5 cents, and they want it as long as they have money, Fan Jiangguo said. How much? 5 cents per month, Tan Shahen was startled. Then the annual interest rate is 60%. Are they digging for gold? There isn't one in Jinshan. I guess once the house is built, the boss can climb to the roof and jump off the building, Fan Jiangguo said. Tan Shahen understood why they were so anxious to come to her and get rid of the project. If they were to get rid of the project now, they would still have some residual value and could leave some money. If they delayed it for another 6 months and a year, they might not be able to make a penny. And still owe others a lot of interest. For acquirers who are interested in acquiring their projects, now is actually a good opportunity to lower the price, because the other party has been forced into a corner and can't breathe. It has to be sold even if it is not sold. It is definitely a good deal to buy at this time. But Tan Shahen didn't dare to touch it. The reason why she didn't dare to touch it is that such a company is in deep water. It's impossible for you to know how much its hidden debts will be. Our laws stipulate that you don't care how the company's equity and legal person change. The debts still follow the original company. When you acquire the equity of his company, you also acquire all its debts, including implicit debts. The debt on the books is not terrible, you can calculate it, and the risks are controllable. This kind of hidden debt is particularly terrible. You don't know the scale of the debt, nor do you know the agreement when they borrowed the debt. To acquire such a company, you are equivalent to if you acquire a bomb, you won't even know when it will blow you to pieces. Unless you can acquire net assets, and such a company is already covered in shit, all its assets have either been used for other projects, or used as mortgages or guarantees, and it has long been unable to divest itself of any net assets. What else can I buy for you? Have you visited their construction site? What's the situation now? Tan Shahen asked. Stop there and you will die soon. The debts are high, they are borrowing money like crazy, and the construction site has been suspended. Tan Shahen also feels that such a company will not last long and will die soon. The boss is driven crazy by the creditors. He is borrowing money like crazy, not to borrow money to continue the project, but just borrowing new debts to repay old debts. His debts will definitely expand rapidly like a snowball. Mr. Fan, can you know more about his current assets, for example, whether he has done any other items, and if so, who the other items are for, whether they have been sealed up, and if so, by what means? Who seized them, and also got a clear understanding of their debt situation, especially the creditors' situation. Tan Shahen and Fan Jiangguo agreed, and Fan Jiangguo agreed. Mr. Tan, what do you want to do? Fan Jiangguo walked back to the door and asked Tan Shahen. Tan Shahen said with a smile, these two companies are now two landmines. We must not touch them, but the landmines will explode. After the landmines explode, there will be no danger. At that time, we can see if it is still there, whether it is worth acquiring, and what method was used to acquire it, but no matter what, the creditor cannot be bypassed, so I ask you to understand the creditor clearly. By the way, we also need to understand his debt structure clearly. The more creditors he has and the more complicated the debt is, the more beneficial it will be for us when no one can handle it alone. Fan Jiangguo understood, and he said, yes, I know what to do. Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Happy Saturday everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 974. The two companies Tan Shuhen asked Fan Jiangguo to get to know were one called Hangcheng Sentai Real Estate Co., Limited and the other called Hangcheng Tehi Real Estate Co., Ltd. While Fan Jiangguo went to learn about the situation, Ying obtained their industrial and commercial registration information from the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. Tan Shuhen looked at it and found that both of them were typical one-person companies, that is, legal persons accounted for 90% of the shares. There is a shareholder who holds 10% of the shares. He is an old man who holds 10% of the shares. In this kind of company, you can tell at a glance that the 10% shareholder is just making up the money to avoid registering as a one-person company. The old man is usually a member of the legal person's own family, either his parents, his mother-in-law or his father-in-law. Ying and Tan Shuhen said that after checking, these two legal persons have no other companies under their names, and this is their only company. Let's take a look at the resumes of the two legal persons. In 1995, one was working in a government agency and the other was working in a public institution type research institute, and then successively went overseas to engage in business. Such a company does not have a deep foundation and has no real strength. It is just because of its reputation, connections to get a piece of land, and then seeing that real estate is very profitable, they jumped in with enthusiasm. The money to register a company and buy land may have been borrowed from relatives and friends. If everything goes according to the written plan they scribbled out in the office, they will certainly make money. But once there is any trouble, like now, no one buys the house at all, and they will immediately be stretched thin. Even to maintain the company's normal expenses, they need to continue to borrow money, and they have no ability to continue the project. Both relationships and face will be broken and sold out. The richer you are, the more your relationships can be maintained and the more glorious your face will be. Once you are at the end of your rope, your relationships and face will soon disappear. There is no more. The more difficult it is for you, the more nervous those who lend you money will be and they will want to get the money back quickly. You will have to use new debts to repay old debts. The more difficult it is for you, the more tortuous it will be for you to obtain funds. The higher the cost, so every time your debt is replaced, the funds do not increase, but your cost of funds is much higher. Fan Jiangguo found out the details of the two companies and ran over to report to Tan Shuhen. Lu Ligan happened to be there too. Fan Jiangguo wrote down what he learned on 2 pieces of paper and gave it to Tan Shuhen. Lu Ligan came over. Look, it's strange. Aren't these the 2 companies that came to see him? Lu Ligan asked, what are you doing? Tan Shuhen told Lu Ligan her plan and the current situation of the 2 companies. Lu Ligan sighed. These 2 unlucky guys, if we acquire them at that time, we might be able to save them. Tan Shuhen rolled her eyes at him and said, maybe we have been dragged into the quagmire by them. This is what we know. Do you know how many other hidden debts there are? Do you know when their debts were formed? Lu Ligan nodded, feeling that what Tan Shuhen said made sense. He has 8 million in this company, which happens to be owed to a friend of mine. He hasn't paid interest for 3 months. Fan Jiangguo pointed to the piece of paper from Hangcheng Sentai Real Estate Co., Limited and said, hey, that's it? This amount. What does your friend do? Tan Shuhen asked. It's that kind of financial company, Fan Jiangguo said. What kind of financial company? A loan shark company, Lu Ligan cursed. Fan Jiangguo chuckled, yes, the interest is very high, 5 cents. By the way, Mr. Lu and Mr. Tan, do you want my friends to do it? My friend said that if he does, he will let this company do it in a minute. Braids. No. Before Tan Shuhen could say anything, Lu Ligan said, we don't want to conspire with any loan shark company to do anything. Why? Fan Jiangguo asked, and Tan Shuhen also looked at Lu Ligan. No reason, it just doesn't work, Lu Ligan said. Fan Jiangguo looked at Tan Shahen, who smiled and said, "We, Mr. Lu, want to do it right." Lu Ligan glanced at Tan Shahen and said angrily, "I can't do this. This is how I was forced in Heiken." "But have you ever thought about it? If we force you, we might be helping him," Tan Shahen said. "It is no longer possible for him to save himself. If he sustains such high interest money for one more month, he will only be burdened with more money. If he closes his shop tomorrow, the money he owes will be less." Lu Ligan said, "I don't care whether it's reasonable or not, I just know that at least I can't do anything to force people to die." After Lu Ligan finished speaking, he walked out. Fan Jiangguo looked at Tan Shahen and asked, "Mr. Tan, what should we do?" Tan Shahen said, "What can you do? Just listen to Mr. Lu." Fan Jiangguo walked out. He understood what Lu Ligan meant, but he felt that Tan Shahen's words were reasonable, and he felt that Tan Shahen was not opposed to doing so. Fan Jiangguo walked outside the company and called his friend. Phone call and said to him, "Friend, let's cook it." In the afternoon of that day, a group of people appeared at the door of the office of Hangcheng Sentai Real Estate Co., Limited. Some of them held a banner at the door. The banner read, "Debts must be repaid." Some people held red paint and placed it on the door of the office, splashing and scribbling on the walls inside. In the office, the company's office staff, who had never seen such a scene, fled out. The remaining few were originally here to ask for money, but when they saw this scene, they were even more unwilling to leave. The boss of the company was immediately blocked in the office by his creditors. The group of people who came here, relying on the strength of their numbers, wanted to take the boss away, but the others wouldn't let him. The leader here cursed, "We'll take the people away, and you guys will guard the company here. If anyone doesn't let us take him, man, if you just want to help him out, then I won't ask him for money, I will ask you for it, and I will take you away without him." Those few people were discouraged when they saw the gang's fierce looks, and watched helplessly as they took the boss away. Good things don't go out, but bad things spread thousands of miles. Within an hour, more debt collectors arrived at the company. Everyone was sitting in the company. It was unknown where the boss was taken. Everyone in the company escaped again. There is not even a person who can call the shots. Each of them is leaderless and has no idea. There is no better way besides sitting here and waiting. The property company came to take a look. They saw a lot of people asking for debt these days. They had no choice but to tell these creditors that if you want to make trouble, make it in their office. Don't make trouble outside the door. We don't care if you make trouble outside, otherwise we will call the police immediately. Some creditors said aggrievedly, "Have you seen us making trouble? The boss is gone, who should we turn to make trouble? We're just here waiting for one of them to come out." Some creditors shouted, "Yes, the real troublemakers, the ones who splashed paint on the door, were the group in front, and you didn't dare to take care of them." The people from the property company rolled their eyes at them and left, too lazy to pay attention to them anymore. A large group of people were sitting in the office. You looked at me and I looked at you, smiling bitterly at each other. Someone found two playing cards from a desk drawer and shouted, come on, let's play cards." Red 5-3 beats 1, 5 UN and 10 UN. Immediately, several people gathered around, picked out 4, and started playing cards. When someone is thirsty, they go to find a disposable cup and go to the water dispenser to pour water. There were 2 young girls from the company in the middle. They escaped from the front and walked around the street for a long time. Then they thought, if I just went out like this, would it be considered absenteeism? The 2 people discussed it for a long time and decided to come back and have a look. If the office director was there, they would ask him. They went upstairs and walked to the office door. When they saw the usually well-organized company, they were a little dumbfounded. When the people inside saw them, they asked, "Hey, Are you from this company? No, no, we are here to find someone. The two little girls shouted quickly and escaped into the elevator. Their hearts were still pounding. They knew that no one would remember absenteeism. Their jobs were probably gone, and they still owed 3 months' wages. Probably nowhere to be found, the two little girls were about to cry. After going downstairs, I quickly found a public phone and called the director of the office. After a while, the director called back. They told the director about the situation in the office. The director escaped from the front and paint was thrown on the door of the office. He knew about pulling up the banner, and he had just heard about the scene in the office, and his heart skipped a beat. "Where's Boss Song? Have you seen Boss Song?" the director asked. "How did we know that we escaped when we walked into the office? Those people were very vicious." "Director, what should we do? When will our wages be paid?" the little girl asked. "You ask me, who am I going to ask? Mine hasn't been sent yet," the director cursed angrily and hung up the phone. Those people in the office waited until evening, but no one from the company showed up. Some creditors were owed a small amount of money, only a few thousand yuan. They walked to the boss's office and saw a fax machine on the table. Thinking that this purchase would cost several thousand yuan, I took the fax machine and left. When one person moved his hand, the others immediately woke up and started grabbing things. In fact, there was nothing to grab in the office, just some telephones and water dispensers. Even the financial office had people go in and sit on the safe and talk. They said, "I've already grabbed this, so don't grab it from me." The other people took a look and opened the drawers in the office one by one. In the end, they only found some small things such as staplers and calculators. They didn't care about it at the moment. They took a bag and packed these, including the flowers in the office. They were all taken away one by one. A large team of security guards rushed upstairs. When someone wanted to carry their desks and chairs outside, the security guards stopped them. The security captain and the creditors said, "This is not allowed. Office furniture cannot be moved. We have clear regulations on office furniture. Get out. You must have an exit permit. You cannot take this out, otherwise they will ask us to compensate you." The creditors are clamoring, "What about the money owed to us? We don't care about this. It's between you and them. But for office furniture, we definitely can't let you take it out of the building unless someone from their company goes to the property office to issue an exit permit." As the security captain said, he saw a man carrying a plastic bag of A4 paper, a stapler, a calculator, and other miscellaneous items and said, "You can take small things like this if you want. We can treat them as invisible. Things that are stipulated not to leave the building are definitely not allowed." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 975. Song Chunming, the boss of Hangzhou Sentai Real Estate Co., Limited, turned out to be almost a replica of Meng Ping in the agency. Although he did not hold any position, he was almost a well-known figure in their agency compound. Everyone from the bureau chiefs to the old man in the reception room called him Xiao Song from afar when they saw him. Popularity is surprisingly good. Song Chunming is 38 years old this year. He is not young anymore. He has been working in the agency for more than 10 years. After 2 or 3 years in the agency, the bureau leaders saw that he had good workability and a good mass base, so they wanted to promote him to the post section chief, but he declined. At that time, Song Chunming was young and vigorous. He told several bureau chiefs that my ambition was not to have an official career. This sentence made Xiao Song instantly become a celebrity in the agency. The name was passed down from generation to generation. Any new bureau leader who comes later must be familiar with the head count. When someone introduces Xiao Song, they will add that Xiao Song's ambition is not to have an official career, and then laugh. The old director resigned, and the new director also felt that Xiao Song's ability was quite good. He once again wanted to promote him to the position of section chief, so he approached Xiao Song to discuss it. At that time, the saying that Xiao Song's ambition was not in an official career had been circulated for several years. Even Xiao Song himself was embarrassed to accept the section chief. In addition, he was a very face-conscious person, so he refused again. This time, of course, he did not say that my ambition was not to be in the official career. He said, "Section chief, you should consider others. There is someone more suitable than me." He reported the names of everyone in the section, and the bureau chief said that all I needed to do was be a manager, and they were all more suitable to be section chiefs than me. What Xiao Song didn't say, the deputy director next to him said it for him, and smiled and said, "I understand, your ambition, Xiao Song, is not in an official career." Everyone laughed it off. After 2 experiences, Xiao Song's ambition was not to have an official career, but to be deeply ingrained in everyone's minds. From now on, no one would even mention Xiao Song's name if he wanted to promote anyone. The person who later became the section chief knew that the organization had approached Xiao Song first, but Xiao Song refused and then approached him. He also heard that Xiao Song had recommended him in front of several directors. What he didn't know was that everyone in the department, Xiao Song, recommended it. This person's ambition was of course to have an official career. He worked very hard after becoming a section chief, and he was catching up with the trend of the 4 modernizations of cadres. Young cadres were promoted very quickly. He then became deputy division chief, and deputy director, until he became the young director has stopped moving. In recent years, with the personnel changes at the top, the 4 modernizations are no longer mentioned below. Xiao Song has been in the agency for more than 10 years and has not moved anywhere. His ambition is not in official career, and no one can see where his ambition is. However, the name Xiao Song has been passed down from generation to generation, even for new employees. The hairy boy and the little girl all called Xiao Song Xiao Song. When Xiao Song was young, Xiao Song's ambition was not to have an official career. Everyone told it as a joke. After the age of 30, it became a bit funny. After the age of 35, everyone thinks that Xiao Song is still capable of working. A good person, but from the bottom of my heart, I already think he is a waste. Fortunately, the young director still remembered Xiao Song's recommendation. At that time, Xiao Song was already 36 years old. The director himself felt embarrassed when he mentioned him as a section chief, but to make an exception, now this is no longer the norm. There happened to be such an opportunity. A company under the bureau was about to be withdrawn and merged. Many people came to the bureau chief and wanted that piece of land to develop real estate. That year, real estate in Hangzhou was also booming, and the price was so high that Lu from the splendid land, it was said that this guy made a lot of money by building an office building by the canal and another on Fenqi Road. The director called Song Chunming over and told him, "Chunming, since your ambition is not to have an official career, how about becoming a boss?" He, Lu Ligan, just came out of the mountains and valleys of Yongcheng. He didn't even go to college. You are still a college student and you have been in the agency for so many years, but you still can't beat him? Even Lu Ligan came to ask for this land. I didn't agree, so I wanted to leave it to you. A few words from the director ignited the fire in Xiao Song's heart. When he was working in the agency, he felt a little disdainful in his heart. At this age, you can't be disdainful even if you want to, and it's hard to get ahead at first sight. Being a boss is indeed your best choice. Xiao Song immediately decided, thank the director. In fact, the director wanted to give this land to Xiao Song. Another idea was that he knew that the deputy directors below all had their own plans. These people turned out to be his old leader was not good for anyone, and this bowl of water could never be leveled. Give it to Xiao Song, he said loudly, and the following people also said nothing. If Xiao Song in your own unit wants to take care of him, what do you want to do? Sure enough, as soon as Xiao Song left the director's office, the news that Xiao Song was going to be a real estate boss spread throughout the courtyard. Everyone in the courtyard clapped and welcomed him. Just Xiao Song, if he became the big boss, what would happen to his old colleagues? Not evenly covered by rain and dew? That was an era when the social status of a boss rose sharply, but cotters in government agencies were still generally miserable. Everyone envied them, but did not dare to do it. So everyone who had money contributed money and those who had no money contributed, and Xiao Song's Hangcheng Sentai Real Estate Co., Limited was quickly established. After Xiao Song became Boss Song, of course his former colleagues would come to see him one after another. Xiao Song would warmly welcome those who came to see him, but he couldn't give people the impression that a person's face would change as soon as he became rich, although Xiao Song was not yet rich. But don't you already have a piece of land and want to develop real estate? Compared with those hard-working government cotters, you are certainly much richer. Although most of the money Xiao Song spent to set up the company and buy land was borrowed, right? So many colleagues have borrowed money from you without even asking for interest. How could Boss Song be so rude when you get to Boss Xiao Song? If you come around lunchtime, I invite you to have lunch. At that time, government agencies did not have sumptuous working meals like they did later. When you go home, you might as well eat at Xiao Song's place. When it's time for dinner, then have dinner. After dinner and seeing how early it was, Boss Song suggested that we have some fun. The crowd responded, and Boss Song laughed, feeling tremendous psychological satisfaction. The entertainment activity mentioned by the boss is KTV. When you go there, you have to call a beauty. When the beauty comes, you have to pay a tip. However, the old colleague earns most of the month's income. Boss Song must pay for it. One time, several $1,000s. Later, several old colleagues who had nowhere to go after work and no girlfriends met up to see Boss Song almost every day. Boss Song's office is very impressive and he has hired a lot of people. No matter how big the company is, it still has no income. All his money is borrowed. How can he afford to spend it like this? His pocket will soon be at the bottom. Fortunately, he still had face and connections, and everyone helped him. They helped him mortgage the land, get a loan from the bank, get a construction permit, and a construction company moved in to start demolishing the old house. Since everyone is helping, then if you have money, it doesn't belong to everyone? Then they played and sang every night. Fortunately, the project has already started, and money will roll in right away. If there is still money in the account, it will be spent. What are you afraid of? But it was already the second half of 1997. After all, Xiao Song came from the government, so he still had this sense. As soon as the Southeast Asian crisis broke out and the people across the country were still in the joy of Hong Kong's return, he had a premonition: when the Economic Council is in trouble, the real estate projects should be opened as soon as possible. He originally expected that with the continuous advancement of housing reform, the house would become more and more valuable and the house price would get higher and higher. He was not in a hurry to sell. At that time, there was no pre-sale system. Selling a house was very casual. Only after obtaining all the permits and excavation of the foundation could the sale be launched. This was also the industry model established by Lu Ligan. People start selling their houses as soon as the foundations are dug. Xiao Song thinks that those are really poor bosses who are waiting for the money to pay off debts and pay wages. Didn't Xiao Song just make a loan and have the balance in their account? He has money, why would he be in a hurry? But in July, Xiao Song knew that something was wrong, so he was anxious to open the market. By this time, his house had already been built to 2 floors. However, he placed an advertisement in the newspaper for 3 days. When the market opened, Only 3 units were sold on the first day, and the number of people who came to see the house was not as many as the colleagues who came to see Xiao Song's opening. Not only was Xiao Song dumbfounded, but his old colleagues were also dumbfounded. The next day, another set was sold, and the next one was 0000, a series of zeros. An old colleague came to Xiao Song and told him that his younger brother from his hometown was getting married. Xiao Song, as you know, our hometown is very poor and feudal. The family doesn't have much money, and the woman's family needs the bride price is even more demanding, but there is no way. My brother is also a big problem. It is not easy to find someone willing to marry him. My parents called me and asked me to think of a way. What can I do? As you know, Xiao Song, your sister-in-law and I just rely on our dead wages. Xiao Song understood, and quickly asked the finance department to take 46,000. The 45,000 was returned to the old colleague, and there was another 1,000, which was said to be interest. The old colleague refused to take it at all, and scolded, "Xiao Song, are you not scolding me? I'm already embarrassed to ask for this money, so why should I count the interest? Who do you think I am, Xiao Song?" Xiao Song said, don't misunderstand, isn't your brother getting married? Your brother is not my brother? This 1,000 yuan is what I gave him to congratulate him. I, Xiao Song, am also in a difficult situation now and can't afford more. Don't think it's too little. I'll make up for it when the situation improves and I'm rich here, okay? Xiao Song said this, and the old colleague could only thank Xiao Song on behalf of his brother and accepted the money. Then, in Xiao Song's original unit, it was as if a broom star turned into a meteor shower and fell in the yard. Everyone began to have bad luck. Either this person's parents were sick, or someone from that one was hit by a car, or someone from that one was hit by a car. When an old man passes away, there is a funeral. Even if it rains and thunders, a corner of his old colleague's house will be knocked off, and his parents are worried every day. For those who came early, Xiao Song paid back the money he owed to others as soon as possible. For those who came late, Xiao Song had no money, so he was asked to wait for 2 days. Then the construction company came to ask for money. It was time for the company to pay wages, and it was time for the bank to pay loan interest. Xiao Song had already taken all the family money, and even borrowed all the money he could from relatives. When this person was poor and owed money, he felt that the holes were getting bigger and bigger, blocking here and leaking there. It was literally full of holes. Xiao Song feels that the old saying that poverty is in debt is really true. Xiao Song really had no choice but to go to the former director. The director looked at him, shook his head and sighed, and said to him, "I'm sorry, Chunming, I may have harmed you by asking you to be the boss. Chunming, you are a good person. Even a good old guy, but I understand now that a good guy can't be the boss." The director hesitated to speak, thought for a moment, and then continued. "I can't help with anything else, Chunming, or you can just go to Lu Ligan and let him acquire your project. I'll work hard here and discuss it with the other directors and let you come back to work." Okay. The director and Lu Ligan were not familiar with each other. They had only met once at a dinner party, so there was no introduction. He did have a business card of Lu Ligan, so he found it and gave it to Xiao Song. The director has said so, what else can Xiao Song say? He still owes the director money, and the director has never even mentioned it. Xiao Song went to see Lu Ligan with his business card. Lu Ligan saw Xiao Song's project and was a little interested, which ignited hope in Xiao Song's heart. However, the female general manager of their company rejected it immediately and let him. Xiao Song found it strange that a boss as big as Lu Ligan could do nothing when he saw that woman. They didn't look like they had a leg, although the woman was indeed very beautiful. Thank you Tin Soldier and On the Shore 131 for the reward. Thank you for your monthly votes for Kingbo, Li Yingjun, Little people have big ambition, Yuengzi, a green fish in the book, and Shi Fangs Yen. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Happy Sunday everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 976. After the failure to contact Lu Ligan Company, Song Chunming looked for several more companies, but none of the real estate companies in Hangzhou had an easy time. Everyone was short of money, so there was no other money available for acquisitions. It feels hot to hold the projects in my hands, and I don't even want to take a second look at other people's projects. However, through connections, I found a bank, and the president agreed that Song Chunming would mortgage the land to him. He could enlarge Song Chunming's loan to 12 million. Song Chunming originally only loaned 10 million. This can increase the number by 2 million and help solve many problems. But if he wanted to borrow this money, he had to pay back the previous sum first, and needed a turnaround fund. Through his connections, Song Chunming found another employer and helped him negotiate the deal. For the sake of his friends, he was a friend of a friend. In order to save face, I agreed to lend him 10 million for 2 weeks, but the premise was that the money could only be transferred to the last bank to repay the loan and release other items of the land rights certificate. Before that, he must first see the loan review meeting record of the next bank to confirm that the loan procedures of the next bank are complete, otherwise he would not dare to borrow the money. Song Chunming agreed wholeheartedly, wondering what the problem would be. Are all agreed upon? As soon as Song Chunming returned to the office, the friend who helped him contact the bank called. As soon as Song Chunming picked up the phone, the other party scolded him, "Xiao Song, is there something wrong with you? Will your bank's loan interest be overdue?" Song Chunming remembered it and said quickly, "It was not the time last month that I had no money on hand. However, I paid it back after more than 10 days, and now I no longer owe interest. What's the use of you going in? Don't you know that overdue interest will result in bad records? How can you get such a big humming loan if you have bad records? Who dares to lend money to a company that can't even guarantee interest?" The unit. Song Chunming was anxious and shouted, once, brother, help me talk to the president, just this once." "That's bullshit. I've already been scolded and told that I'm incompetent. You've cut off all the humming relationships with me and you still want me to say it?" My friend cursed me and hung up the phone. 2 days later, the friend who helped him contact U-Turn Funds called Song Chunming and asked him, "Why is there no movement at your place?" With a sad face, Song Chunming told the other party about the matter. After hearing this, the other party did not scold him, but sighed and said to him, "Xiao Song, can you do less unreliable things like this in the future? Everyone is hanging out outside, all relying on one face. If the face is gone, why do you still hang out? Other people's work units are selling me face, and this face is also one time. You think you can sell it again and again, so be it. Let me beg you, next time something like this happens, don't come to me, okay?" The other party said and hung up the phone. Only then did Song Chunming realize that in the past, when others asked him to do something, he would do anything and try his best to find a way to help him, but he would ask others for help. There can be no ambiguity at all. This loan failed, and Song Chunming's life became even more miserable next. He already owed more than 7 million yuan to the construction company. He asked for money several times, but never received a penny, so the project was stopped. "Come down." The sales manager ran to his office and shouted that there were no people buying houses in the first place. Once the construction stopped, no one came even more, and even those who came did not dare to buy. Of course Song Chunming knew this truth, but he was not helpless. Big money started to be owed, and then small money started to be owed, not only wages and bank interest, but also taxes, property fees, phone bills, and companies that had long-term cooperation with them and sent them paper and other office supplies, and water. Shuidian, the flower and tree company that rented flowers and trees to them, the advertising company and the printing house that produced advertisements all started to owe money. When there was really no way around the debt, the property management company threatened to shut down the power and lock the door. The Post and Telecommunications Office also called for payment several times, saying that if the phone bill was not paid, the phone would be shut down. Finance also told Song Chunming that the tax owed was serious. Not only would he have to pay back the tax, but he would also be fined. It would also attract a tax audit. If the audit came, we wouldn't be able to settle it even if we spent 10 times the tax money. Can we still hold on? Also, even if we sell the house, we can't even think about getting a certificate. Song Chunming was scared to death and had no other choice. He was sitting in the office and heard some noise outside. He was worried that the tax inspector was coming. He walked to the door to take a look and breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that it was just the boss of the construction company. It's okay, he's used to it anyway. The boss of the construction company looked ugly, but Song Chunming laughed and laughed with him. As time went by, the tight flesh on his face relaxed, and he said to Song Chunming, "Boss Song, I also know that it's not easy for you. It's not easy for everyone now. I also know that you hate me when you see me." "No, no, no, I'm happy when I see you." "How could I hate you?" Song Chunming said quickly. "Don't come here, you are vain." "I hate myself coming here all the time," the boss said, "but I can't help it. Think about it, I won't come here and sit in the office on the construction site, I am the same, I am also being forced, I owe so much money for materials, and they are all asking me for it. There are so many workers on the construction site who have not been paid. When the summer vacation is over, their children will have to pay school fees. Who else should they ask for if not me? If you don't give me money, what will I give them?" I know, Boss Yang, don't worry, our sales office has had several customers talking to you in the past 2 days. As long as there is money coming in, I will definitely arrange it for you. However, I have to say something ugly up front, and I can't give it all to you. I also have urgent needs here. I know, I'm not that greedy, and I know your difficulties. Okay, Boss Song, we have agreed that from now on, you will give me half of the money from selling the house, and you can use the rest to deal with other places, okay? Said the construction company owner. Okay, thank you, Boss Yang, we have an agreement. Song Chunming joined hands and bowed, then take a look at this project. The boss of the construction company waved his hand and said, "Boss Song, it's not that I want to stop the work, it's the construction materials. I got them here half-heartedly and half-deceived, and now they won't give them away even if they kill me. But where the construction site is parked, people who come to buy houses are wary, which directly affects sales," Song Chunming said. Boss Yang looked at Song Chunming and shook his head. "Boss Song, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm a construction company. We don't even have cement, sand, red bricks, or steel bars here. What do you want me to use for construction? But don't worry, as long as you have a little money, give it to them. I'm sure I can also convince them to continue sending them, and as soon as the materials arrive, I guarantee that work will start." "Okay, then we've settled on it." Song Chunming said this verbally, but in fact he just told him to leave quickly, but he was still scolding him in his heart. You haven't started work even after talking for a long time, then what do you want money for? If you have money, you have to start work even if you don't ask me with your guarantee. Guaranteed shit." At this time, God really opened his eyes. Good news came from the sales department. A house was sold and the payment for the house had arrived. Everyone from the finance to the office director and everyone below were eagerly staring at the money. The director told Song Chunming, "Boss, I haven't paid my salary for 2 months, or should I pay it for 1 month? Otherwise, enthusiasm will be affected." Song Chunming also knew that everyone in the company was staring at the money eagerly. He hesitated for a long time, and finally gritted his teeth and said, "Then it will be paid for 1 month, but please tell me, everyone should be tight-lipped to the outside world." Said the house was sold. I know, don't worry, Mr. Song." The director yelled and ran out. The treasurer had already prepared the salary list. After receiving the order, he quickly and quietly paid out the wages. The scene was like an underground party distributing activity funds. The director was standing next to the cashier. After sending one, "Please tell me, don't talk nonsense outside." After the wages are paid, the first thing to do is, of course, to pay the taxes. Song Chunming breathed a sigh of relief. For the time being, he no longer had to worry about tax audits coming to his door. Finance asked Song Chunming if the bank interest was paid. Song Chunming thought about it. He couldn't get the loan anyway, so if he paid nothing, I would be in debt. Song Chunming and finance said, "Pay the property and phone bills that are owed for several months first, otherwise the phone will be stopped and we will be kicked out. If we pay it, we can still have peace for a few months." Thinking about finances, these 2 items are indeed important, so I went to pay them quickly. After paying these 2 items, I looked at my account and saw that there was only more than 200 yuan left for a house. Unexpectedly, there really is no airtight wall in this world. The next morning, Song Chunming had just walked downstairs. Before he could get out of the corridor door below, his big brother rang. Song Chunming's heart skipped a beat. Now, in the eyes of others, Big Brother, who looked very majestic, was like a bomb in Song Chunming's hands. What he was most afraid of hearing was Big Brother going off. If it went off, it would definitely mean nothing good. He couldn't help but answer it. If he didn't, it would be bad. Song Chunming picked up the phone, and the sales manager called anxiously on the phone, Mr. Song, we have all been kicked out. A large group of people are closing down our sales department." "Who did it?" Song Chunming asked urgently. "The workers, the construction workers who built our houses." Song Chunming knew something was wrong and quickly asked, "Where are you making the call?" "Check to see if their manager Seong is here." "I'm at the public phone opposite." "Manager Seong is here, and he's the one leading the people to seal the door." "Okay, go over right away and ask Manager Seong to call me," Song Chunming shouted. "Okay." The sales manager hung up the phone and ran to the other side. The weather was not hot in the morning, but Song Chunming felt that he was covered in sweat and his legs were weak. He looked at the steps at the door of the corridor and sat down. People coming down from upstairs saw him sitting at the door. All nodded and said, "Director Song, haven't you gone to work yet?" Song Chunming responded casually, "I don't know when and who started talking nonsense." Everyone in this building, including the entire municipal dormitory compound, called him Director Song. At the beginning, Song Chunming he still managed to distinguish a few words, but it was difficult for one person to defeat the crowd. In the end, he could only acquiesce that he was Director Song. Even when the neighbor talks to his wife, he always asks, "Is your Director Song here?" His wife also answered immediately and smoothly whether she was there or not. After sitting for a while, Song Chunming's phone rang again. He picked it up and it was the sales manager who said weakly on the phone, "Mr. Song, Manager Seong refused to answer the phone and even scolded me." After a pause, she added, "I also scolded you and our company." "What did he curse?" Song Chunming asked. He scolded you, he called you a bastard, and our company is a bastard company. He scolded you very fiercely." "Okay, I get it, Song Chunming said with a bitter smile, you bastard will be a bastard. Mr. Song, what about our people here? Song Chunming thought for a moment and said, let's all go back to the company first. Okay, Mr. Song. Song Chunming hung up the phone and sat there for a while. He felt that he was completely helpless. Even the sales office was blocked. It could be said that all the roads for me, Song Chunming, were blocked. Thank you for the reward for ranking third from top to reading the book every day. Thank you to Bustling Farce and Mew for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 977. Song Chunming sat there and kept buttoning Boss Yang. Apart from that, he didn't know what else he could do. Finally, there were times when he wanted to hear Big Brother's bell ringing, but Big Brother was silent. Even if his mother, it would be nice to have a debtor call in, but that's not the case. Song Chunming kept buttoning for almost an hour, and finally the Big Brother rang. Song Chunming quickly shouted, hey, 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 you bastard, you liar, Boss Yang yelled on the phone, don't detain me anymore. I will never believe you, this liar. I'll give you 10 days, every penny is no more, to pay off the debt I'll pay you, otherwise I won't just seal the door of your sales office, I promise to seal the door of your company as well, and I will do what I say. No, no, Boss Yang, listen to me. Song Chunming shouted. There was already a beeping sound coming from the other side of the phone. Boss Yang had already hung up the phone and didn't even want to hear a word from Song Chunming. Long-winded. Song Chunming knew in his heart that he had really pissed off Boss Yang this time. Damn it, he didn't know who in the company was so talkative. Song Chunming didn't know how he got to the company. When he walked into the door, he saw that there were more people inside than usual. He was stunned for a moment before he remembered that the people from the sales department had withdrawn. Song Chunming walked in, and everyone inside stared at him silently. Song Chunming suddenly became angry and cursed loudly, "What are you looking at?" Everyone quickly lowered their heads. Song Chunming saw the office director and sales manager standing at the door of his office. Song Chunming cursed at the office director. "Check for me and find out which one here is the traitor and which one is the talkative one who leaked the news that we sold our house to the person named Seong." The office director shook his head and said, "No need to check. It's them. Someone from them has been watching us," the sales manager said. "As long as someone comes in, someone from them will follow and watch from the side." "You mean, when you sold the house yesterday, someone was watching?" Song Chunming asked. The sales manager nodded. Song Chunming shouted, "Then why didn't you tell me?" The sales manager pursed his lips and said aggrievedly, "They came in and just stood there without saying a word. I don't know what they came for. I'm not here to keep an eye on you, or something. If someone has something to do, I would have asked you a long time ago. Why are you so stupid? Are you the reincarnation of a humming pig?" The sales manager became anxious, stamped his feet, and cried, "I'm a house seller, not a spy. How do I know who's being followed or not? Okay, give me your salary. I'm quitting. There's no house to sell anyway." When the office director heard this, he quickly dragged the sales manager aside. Song Chunming walked into his office angrily and sat down. After a while, the office director came in and said to Song Chunming, "Mr. Song, your tone was indeed a little harsh. The little girl couldn't bear it. I finally managed to persuade you." "What are you trying to persuade me to do?" Song Chunming stared at the office director and shouted, "Anyone who doesn't want to do this job can get the hell out of here. I won't even get a penny of salary. That's all I'll do." The office director quickly waved his hand, "Okay, if you are angry, I won't say more to you." As he talked, he walked out, and Song Chunming sat there blankly. After a while, the director came back. Song Chunming looked at him and said angrily, but his tone had obviously slowed down, "You didn't say more, why did you come back?" "I thought about it, and I still feel like I want to say something," the director said. "Xiao Lu is waiting for you up front. Actually, I have something to tell you." Xiao Lu is their sales manager. Song Chunming asked, "What's the matter?" "It's about funding," the director said. "There is a person who said he could lend us money. He said that many real estate companies have borrowed money from them." When Song Chunming heard about this, his eyes lit up and he shouted, "Quickly, let her in quickly." The director walked out, and after a while, he walked in with Xiao Lu. Xiao Lu's eyes were still red and swollen. After walking in, although he sat in front of Song Chunming's desk with the director, he turned his head to on one side. "Don't look at Song Chunming." Song Chunming smiled and said to her, "Okay, Xiao Lu, I apologize to you. It was my bad attitude earlier, I'm sorry." The director said quickly, "Come on, Xiao Lu, Mr. Song has already apologized to you. You have to understand that Mr. Song will definitely be in a bad mood when something like today happens." Xiao Lu turned his head, but lowered his head and muttered, "Who wants you to apologize?" He raised his right hand and threw a crumpled business card on Song Chunming's table. "Here you go." Song Chunming picked it up and looked at it. It read Hang Cheng Zhonghui Financial Development Co., Limited Bien Fijun. Song Chunming asked, "Xiao Lu, what's going on with this?" Xiao Lu said, "That's him. He came to our sales office yesterday afternoon and asked our company if it needed funds. He said that his company had funds, but the interest rate was a little higher than that of banks. Many real estate companies in Hangzhou are now asking them to borrow money." Money. Did he say what conditions were required for the loan, such as requiring a mortgage or something? Song Chunming asked. Xiao Lu shook his head. "Then what he said is that the interest rate is a little higher than that of banks." "Did he say how much higher it is?" Song Chunming continued to ask. Xiao Lu still shook his head. "He said, if necessary, let our boss contact him." "Aren't you the boss? Isn't there a phone number there?" Xiao Lu said. The director and Song Chunming both laughed. Song Chunming said, "Okay, thank you, I will contact him." The director took Xiao Lu out. Song Chunming picked up the phone, looked at the phone number on the business card, and dialed the phone. After the phone rang twice, it was picked up. A girl's clear voice rang. "Hello, Hang Cheng Zhonghui Financial Development Co., Limited." Song Chunming said, "Hello, I want to find Bien Fijun." "Okay, just wait a moment, I'll help you turn around right away." The phone beeped twice, and a voice rang, "Hello. Hello, I'm looking for Bien Fijun," Song Chunming said. "That's me. Who are you?" "I am Hang Cheng Sentai Real Estate Co., Limited." "Is it Mr. Song?" the other party asked. Song Chunming was startled and asked, "How do you know my surname is Song?" "Haha, it is indeed Mr. Song." "Hello Mr. Song, there is nothing surprising. We have the information of all the real estate companies in Hangzhou. Of course I know who you are." "Oh, I called because I wanted to. Song Chunming stammered, thinking about how to say this. "Mr. Song, are you having difficulty with capital turnover now?" The other party interrupted him and went straight to the point. "Now, 9 out of 10 real estate companies in Hangzhou have capital turnover problems. This is normal." The other party in turn relieved Song Chunming, which made him feel relieved and had a good impression of the other party. Song Chunming said, "That's right, there is difficulty in capital turnover. May I ask, what are the requirements for borrowing money from you?" "No request, Mr. Song." "Let me ask, what are you going to use this fund for?" "Pay for the project." "Well, that's fine, as long as it's not to pay off gambling debts. We can borrow money to pay for the project and land. Oh, let me ask if there are any other conditions required, such as a mortgage or something, Song Chunming asked. Will you come to us to borrow money if you want a mortgage? The other party asked. Besides, your company's office is rented and there are no other assets. The only thing that can be mortgaged is a piece of land. Have you not already mortgaged the land to the Agricultural Bank of China? 10 million. Song Chunming was surprised again. It seemed that the other party knew him well. He said, we have the information of all real estate companies in Hangzhou. He was not lying. That's right, can I still borrow it? Song Chunming asked. Can. What's your interest rate? You may need to come over and talk about this, because we will have different interest rates based on different companies and different situations. Okay, then what else do I need to bring? You must bring your business license, ID card, and tax registration certificate. The more complete the other certificates and certificates you can bring, the better. This will be good for us when scoring you. Score, what do you mean? Rate your company and the boss himself. The higher the score, the lower the interest. For example, Lu Ligan's Jinxiudati real estate company, we can lend it to him with 1 point of monthly interest. Isn't it faster than the bank loan interest? About there. What? They also borrowed money from you. No, I'm just making an analogy. They are not short of money. Oh, I understand, I'll come right away, Song Chunming said to the other party. Okay, welcome, Mr. Song, the other party said. After putting down the phone, Song Chunming quickly found all the documents from the cabinet. He saw a file bag in the corner. He opened it and took a look. Inside was his original work permit in the agency, as well as the red badge of an advanced worker. Song Chunming put the award certificate and the certificates into a plastic bag, picked it up and left. The other party's company was on the 21st floor of Building C of Splendid Jiangnan. As he sat in the taxi, Song Chunming remembered that Splendid Jiangnan was developed by Lu Ligan. No wonder the other party said that if Lu Ligan borrowed money, even a penny of interest is fine. It turns out that he is a client of Lu Ligan and the others. Song Chunming arrived at the first floor of Block C of Jinxiu Jiangnan and saw a large stainless steel floor guide hanging here. He saw on it that there was no Hangcheng Zhonghui Financial Development Co., Limited on the 21st floor. There is only one Hangcheng Zhonghui Trading Co., Limited. He took out his business card and looked at it, and found that the addresses of the two companies were the same, both 2106. Song Chunming understood that the official name of this company was Hangcheng Zhonghui Trading Co., Limited. As for the Financial Development Co., Limited, they made it up themselves just to sound nice. Song Chunming went upstairs and arrived at 2106. The company was quite large. When he walked in, there was a front desk with two girls sitting there. Song Chunming told them that he was here to see Bien Fijun. One of them immediately stood up and said to him, "Sir, please come with me." Song Chunming followed the girl and walked over. Inside was an office hall with about a dozen desks. The girl called inside, "Manager Bien, someone is looking for you." A young man stood up with a stack of paper in his hand. He waved towards Song Chunming. Song Chunming knew that he should be Bien Fijun. Thank you, book friends 2019010420175831 and Tiger for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening, everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 978. Bien Fijun took Song Chunming into a conference room, brought him a glass of water, and then told him, "Mr. Song, please wait a moment." Song Chunming was sitting there. The decoration of the company, including the conference room, was brand new. There was still a faint pungent smell of paint in the air. The decoration of the conference room was very simple, with white walls on all sides and no decorations on the walls. Maroon conference table, spotless. Song Chunming sat for 5 or 6 minutes, and then 3 people in their 30s came in from the door. The one at the front was very thin, with fair skin, and was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt. He looked very elegant. If they met on the first floor and no one introduced him, Song Chunming would more likely think that he was a foreign trade salesman from a foreign trade company upstairs. The second one is short, a little fat, wearing a horizontal striped t-shirt, with a baby face and thin lips. His skin is not white, but a little pink. The third one can be said to be the control group of the first two. He is very tall, more than 1.80 meters tall, very strong, very dark, with a crew cut, a square face, like a mahjong tile, and a fierce look on the left. There was a scar on his cheek, and he was wearing a tight black t-shirt. All the muscles in his body were exposed, and his arms were covered with tattoos. Bien Fajun followed at the end, and the 3 in front said as they walked, "This is Mr. Song from Sentai Real Estate." The 3 people all nodded to Song Chunming. Song Chunming was about to stand up and walk in the front. The man in the white shirt stretched out his hand and waved it and said, "Sit down, Mr. Song, you are welcome to sit down." The 3 people sat down opposite Song Chunming, and Bien Fajun sat down a seat away from them. This formation made Song Chunming feel like he was participating in a thesis defense, and he could see that these 3 were the ones who had the final say. The boss, and Bien Fajun is just a part-time worker below them. Bien Fajun didn't even introduce the last names of these 3 people to Song Chunming. They were still very sensitive in their line of work and there was no need to let others know too much. The 3 of them all held folders in their hands and opened them. The one in the white shirt looked at the plastic bag Song Chunming put on the table and asked, "Mr. Song, is this the certificate you brought?" Song Chunming is right. "Can you show us?" Song Chunming said yes and pushed the bag over. "So many," Bai Shirt smiled. Song Chunming said quickly, "Manager Bien told me that the more complete the better, so I brought everything I could." The white shirt nodded. He picked up the business license, tax registration certificate, construction land planning permit and construction project planning permit. Without even looking at it, he pushed it to the doll in the middle. Face, he picked up Song Chunming's ID card and looked at it. After saying Mr. Song is as old as me, he also pushed it to the middle. On the contrary, he was very interested in Song Chunming's original work certificate and award certificates in the file bag. He opened them one by one and looked at them carefully. "Mr. Song, you used to be in the agency. You did a good job, and your popularity and reputation were good. Why do you want to go to the sea?" White Shirt asked while watching. "Have you investigated me?" Song Chunming asked. The white shirt raised his head, looked at Song Chunming and said, "Yes. Just how much time has passed since I made the phone call before I came over? What can you learn? Is there a friend in my old workplace? Who is it?" The white shirt smiled again, "We are not a bank. How can we be so careless in doing things? What they lend out is the country's money. What we lend out is our own money. How could it be possible accidentally? I hope Mr. Song you can understand, we have been investigating you for more than a week." More than a week, Song Chunming was surprised, but we didn't know each other at all at that time. "Yes, but I know you will definitely come to borrow money from us, so the investigation work is advanced." "You knew I was coming." Song Chunming was even more surprised. "How did you know?" The white shirt and the baby face in the middle looked at each other, smiled, and the white shirt said, "Mr. Song, you may have forgotten that you didn't find us, we found you. Why, do you think our manager is handing out business cards all over the street?" Song Chunming was stunned for a moment, and then he understood. It turned out that the other party had been targeting him for a long time, and knew that he was short of money, so he came to the door. When Song Chunming thought of this, his face suddenly changed, and he remembered something. Looking at each other, no more words. The man in the white shirt also looked at Song Chunming. He saw Song Chunming's face change, and asked with concern, "Mr. Song, what's wrong with you?" Song Chunming looked at the other party and asked, "Do you know that my construction site has stopped?" "Of course, otherwise how would we know that you are short of money? No matter which construction site we stop at in Hangzhou, we will pay attention to it and learn about the hidden story behind it. Most of the construction sites we stop at are because of lack of money. It will be us." "Customer, Mr. Song, your construction site will not stop for a day," said the white shirt. "Don't say it's you, we even stopped in Hangcheng Center to learn about it, but it's not because they have no money, it's because of the company's strategy," Babyface interjected. "So, you also know that my sales department has been blocked?" Song Chunming asked coldly. "Of course, what happened this morning," Bai Shirt said, suddenly understood, and laughed. "Mr. Song, I understand. Do you think that we conspired with the construction company to let him seal your sale, from the floor? Isn't it?" Song Chunming asked. "Why? What's the benefit to us if we do this?" asked the white shirt, and the baby face and the mahjong face next to him also laughed. "Force me to come and borrow money from you," Song Chunming said. "You don't have to borrow it," white shirt said. "Besides, have we agreed to lend you money? There are thresholds for us to borrow money. So far, at least the three of us have not reached an agreement and agreed to borrow money. Your money, and you can just stand up and leave now. Even if we and the construction company join forces to force you, you can also choose to borrow it from others. We are not exclusive. Don't worry, we are not that mean. Even if we want to do something to you, we will tell you in advance," Mahjong said expressionlessly. There was a brief silence in the conference room. After a while, the white shirt asked, "Mr. Song, look, do we want to continue?" Although Song Chunming still had some doubts in his heart that they were with Boss Yang and the others, he sighed secretly, nodded and said, "Okay. Then please answer my previous question, Mr. Song," said the white shirt. Song Chunming asked, "What's the problem? You are doing well in the agency, why do you want to go to sea?" Song Chunming thought for a while and said, "How should I put it? When I was young, I looked down on the people and things in the agency. I thought they were too hypocritical. I felt boring staying there, but I didn't have the courage to come out, so I stayed there until I was 30. How old are you? Now that you are in the institution, people look down on you, which makes you even more boring, so I got out when I got the chance. Do you regret it?" "A little bit. I feel that I have overestimated my abilities. In fact, I am still suitable for hanging around in the agency," Song Chunming said, "but there is no use regretting. People can't make mistakes after the fact. When I first entered the agency, with my current mentality and psychological maturity, I might be able to be a provincial governor now, so there is no use regretting it." "It's very well said and very honest. I admire you for that," said the white shirt. Song Chunming said, "Thank you. By the way, Mr. Song, how much do you want to borrow this time?" white shirt asked. 12 million. "Why do you need to borrow so much?" Bai Shirt asked. "Isn't the project payment you owe more than 7 million? "Yes, more than 7 million yuan for the project. In addition, I also want to repay the money I owe to my relatives, friends, and old colleagues in my previous workplace. I think if I owe it to your family. Your idea is good, but we can't meet your requirements. You can use our money to pay for the project or pay for the land, but you can't use it to pay off the debt," white shirt said. "If that's the case, we are assuming all the risks for them." After a pause, the white shirt continued. "Everyone must be responsible for his own actions. The person who lends you money, whether it is for profit like us, or for family or friendship like your relatives and friends, he must be able to control his risks, otherwise he must bear the consequences himself, rather than someone else bearing it for him. Mr. Song, do you understand? Song Chunming shook his head and said, I don't understand. It's very simple. For example, if your parents lend you money, they will either make plans to give the money to you if nothing happens, or they will make plans to break up with you. As long as they can make it clear, they will take the money. The possibility of getting the money back is very high, Bai Shirt said. That is to say, we can still sit and chat now, but when we ask you for money, we will fall out immediately, Ma Zhongface said. The white shirt nodded, yes, that's what our President Fang said. Song Chunming now knows that Ma Zhongface's surname is Fang. We can lend you 8 million, do you want it? White shirt asked. Song Chunming asked, how much is the interest? 5 points, monthly interest. So tall. Yes, the white shirt nodded and said, to be honest, Mr. Song, your conditions are pretty good. In our place, there are people with poor conditions who can borrow 8 cents and 10 cents. Your conditions are, first, you are a single person outside. The only big loan was 10 million from the Agricultural Bank of China. The other small loans were all borrowed from relatives and friends. I had never borrowed money from the public. Your relatives and friends are definitely not as good at collecting loans as we are. When it comes to asking for money, whoever is ruthless will get it in the end. Compared with them, we are not afraid, so I say that your conditions are not bad. In fact, I can lend you 3 points, but unfortunately, your construction site is parked there, so 1 point will be added, and the sales department is blocked, so another point will be added. Another way is, if you can convince the construction company to unblock the sales department and resume work on the construction site, we will immediately lend you a loan with 3-cent monthly interest. Can you do it? Song Chunming thought about it and realized that as long as Boss Yang didn't give him money, he would definitely not open it, let alone resume work. Song Chunming shook his head. Then there's nothing you can do. It's just 5 points. We don't bargain here. We will only give the price based on our own judgment. Mr. Song, you can think about it yourself, said the white shirt. Song Chunming would definitely have to borrow money, but he still wanted to bargain for the interest. He said, this construction site is there. The money I owe to the construction company for the project is all clear. Whether the sales department seals it or not, this matter will not change. For example, the money I owe him has increased. Why should the interest be increased by 1 point? It's very simple, it means that he has decided to break up with you, and the communication channel between you is completely broken. Bai Shirt said, this way the risk is high, because the matter of closing the building sales department will happen at any time in the future. Construction companies will think this is the most effective approach. Song Chunming was speechless by the white shirt. Thinking about it this way, this was really the case. Song Chunming lowered his head and thought, although the price of 5 cents was high, if he didn't borrow the money, it would be impossible for the sales department to unblock the office. 10 days later, the person named Seong would definitely come to seal the office. This guy could do it. If they were a group, he would be even more capable. In this case, he would be finished immediately. By borrowing this money, I can at least temporarily alleviate the current difficulties and have time to think of other solutions. How long can I borrow this money for? Song Chunming asked. We won't borrow for a year. If you want to borrow, it's the same as a bank loan. You pay it back first and then borrow it. Then I want to pay it back early, is that okay? Of course. If I give it to you today, you can pay it back tomorrow. We will charge you 2 days of interest. Then what other procedures are needed? Did you bring your official seal? Bring it. That's it. The contract is signed and stamped. We go to the bank together. After transferring the money to your personal card, you give us the contract and interest. That's it? By the way, let me remind you, the interest is month ago. To pay, that is to say, we will send you 8 million today, and you must immediately withdraw 400,000 in cash and give it to us. Mr. Song, let me remind you, it is easy to borrow our money, but when it is time to pay it back, you will be worse than dead. You have to think carefully, Ma Zhongfei shouted. Song Chunming glanced at Ma Zhong's face and sneered in his heart, threatening me? I'm already humming dead now, and you're still threatening me with this? Illiterate, don't you know that there is a saying that if people are not afraid of death, why should they be afraid of death? I'll borrow it, Song Chunming said to buy shirt. Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you Ji Unseong 11, Qian Dad, and Xiao Wang for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Happy Monday everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 979. Okay, Mr. Song. The white shirt nodded and continued, however, there are 2 points I want to confirm. Your house is the only source that you can guarantee our interest income, so the 2 points I mentioned are related to your sales department. First, you allow us to take the sales money directly from your sales department, or even bring the person who buys the house directly, and we take the money with us after buying it. Yes, as long as it does not exceed the interest amount, Song Chunming said. Of course, if it's more than that, isn't it an obvious robbery, White Shirt said with a smile. One more thing, can you guarantee that after the project payment is paid, the construction company will immediately unblock the sales department? That's for sure. I gave him all my money, but he still hasn't unblocked it? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, White Shirt nodded and said, but you'd better call to confirm. Song Chunming was in a dilemma and said, I detained this guy, but he refused to return it. The man in the white shirt bent down and looked at Bien Fajun, who was sitting next to Ma Zhong. Bien Fajun stood up and walked out. After a while, he came back and said to Song Chunming, Mr. Song, call your construction site office. The guy named Seong is playing cards there right now. Song Chunming said yes, picked up the mobile phone and was about to stand up and go out to fight. He paused with his chin in his white shirt and said, Mr. Song, let's fight here. We can be a witness to prevent him from cheating when the time comes. Song Chunming said yes, and immediately dialed the phone number of the construction site office using mobile phone and pressed the speakerphone button at the same time. After the phone rang a few times, it was picked up, and a person shouted, Hey, who are you looking for? There was a lot of noise on the phone, and there was the sound of playing cards in the background. Song Chunming had no choice but to shout loudly, I'm Song Chunming, help me ask your boss Seong to answer the phone. The people here heard the man calling, Boss Song's phone number. Tell him to get lost, hurry up and play your cards. Song Chunming could hear Boss Seong's voice not far away. Boss Seong told you to get lost. Song Chunming quickly shouted, tell him it's about the project funds. I already have the project funds. Boss Song said he has money for the project, why don't you tell him to get out? As soon as Boss Seong heard this, he quickly came over, grabbed the phone, and cursed at the person who answered the phone, get the hell out of here. Then he shouted to the group of people playing cards, go away, all of you, get out of here, I'm going to make a phone call. After the phone became quiet, Boss Seong shouted, if you fart, hurry up. Song Chunming said, Boss Seong, if I give you the project money, will you immediately unblock the sales department for me? You gave me money, why should I keep it sealed? You promise? Guaranteed, Boss Seong shouted impatiently. The white shirt's mouth opened and closed. Song Chunming could see that his mouth was talking about tomorrow, so he said to Boss Yang, "Okay, Boss Yang, I will give you the project money tomorrow, and you will unblock me tomorrow." Real or fake? Of course it's true. Say it again, will the blockade be lifted immediately after receiving the project funds? Unlock and unblock, I promise. Song Chunming looked at the white shirt, and the white shirt nodded. Song Chunming said to the person on the phone, "Okay, that's it, Boss Yang." Next, Bien Fajun took Song Chunming's ID card and went out to make copies. Babyface took out 2 contracts from the folder. Song Chunming saw that the loan amount of 8 million and the 5-cent monthly interest had been filled in. All he really needed to do was sign and seal it. Song Chunming smiled bitterly and said, "It's all written down. This is not a contract, it's completely an alliance under the city." The white shirt also smiled and said, "Mr. Song, if you can give me 8 million, you can also let me sign the alliance under the city." After signing the agreement, Bien Fajun also copied his ID card and came back. White shirt took out a bank card, handed it to Babyface, and said to Song Chunming, "You go to the bank with our Mr. Huang and manager Bien." Song Chunming found out again that the baby-faced boy's surname was Huang, but he still didn't know the surname of the white shirt. 8 million was transferred to Song Chunming's card, and Song Chunming immediately withdrew 400,000 in cash and handed it to Babyface and Bien Fajun along with the contract. At the entrance of the bank, when Babyface and Bien Fajun broke up with Song Chunming, Babyface patted Song Chunming twice on the shoulder and said to him, "Come on, let's get through the difficulties together." Song Chunming stood there stupidly. Babyface and Bien Fajun got in the car and left. Looking at their backs, Song Chunming was filled with emotion. It had been a long time since anyone had said such kind words to him. He didn't expect that the person he was talking to was the person who loaned money to him at high interest rates. But that's right, for so many days, your relatives have treated you like a beast, your friends have treated you like a flood, and the bank door has not even opened a crack for you to get through. The only people who have really helped you are these loan sharks. That white shirt is right, you can stand up and leave, you don't need it, you can also borrow it today and return it tomorrow, but in fact, you have no other way except that they will. Besides helping you, no one will help you." Song Chunming didn't want to move for a moment, so he sat down on the steps in front of the bank. There were 7.6 million in the card, and this card was safely placed in his pocket. Song Chunming thought that he could actually escape with his wife and children with this 7.6 million at this time. From a distance, yes, it really can be like this. If that's the case, what do they get for the white shirts? The land has been mortgaged by the bank, the company office is rented, and the construction projects are under construction. Even if they are disposed of through the court, their priority belongs to the construction company. The white shirts actually have nothing. The most they can get is to participate in the distribution of the residual value of this project with many other creditors. In the current environment, will there still be residual value? The only thing they have is probably what the white shirt said. Their methods of collecting loans are more ruthless than others, but I am gone, who will you fight with? Song Chunming understood now that they seemed to be talking to him casually, probably because they were judging whether he was the kind of person who would run away after taking money. In this way, their living skills were really high. Their risks are also very high. Although they are earning high interest rates, they are also in danger of losing their capital. People were walking up and down the steps beside him, and people were coming and going on the road in front of him. Song Chunming suddenly laughed. He laughed at himself. A man who had been forced to the point of desperation was now worried about loan sharks. You have really shouldered a lot. Song Chunming looked at his watch, called his wife, and told her that I was fine today and I would pick up my son. His son was in the 3rd grade of Wenlongxiang Primary School. When Song Chunming arrived at the school gate, it was still early before the end of school. The iron gate of the school was still closed and the school gate was empty. Song Chunming found a place at the school gate and held his hand. The bag of ID cards inside was placed on the ground and used as a stool to sit on. For some reason, Song Chunming felt very tired since he received a call from Xiao Lu in the morning and learned that the sales department was closed by the construction company. He couldn't stand anywhere and needed to sit down. Song Chunming sat there for more than half an hour. It was getting closer and closer to the end of school, and there were more and more people at the school gate. Song Chunming was worried that his son would not be able to see him behind the crowd, and he would not know when he walked past. He stood up and walked to the crowd at the school gate. After waiting for more than 20 minutes, he finally saw his son coming out of the school gate. Song Chunming suddenly felt a warmth in his heart, as if they had been separated for a long time. In fact, it was no different from other days. When his wife and son got up this morning, Song Chunming, while he was still in bed, his son came to the door and said goodbye to his father, and then left. Why did it feel like he hadn't seen him for a long time? The son also saw him, and did not show too much surprise. He just asked lightly, "Why is it you?" "I'll take you to KFC," Song Chunming said. "Really?" The son's eyes lit up. Song Chunming smiled and said, "Of course, it's not like Dad has never taken you to eat KFC. That was a long time ago." "Okay, then you can eat whatever you want today, okay?" "Good." When we arrived at KFC, our son ordered a lot of things. Song Chunming sat across from his son and watched him eat. When he saw the oil on his mouth and hands was about to flow, he wiped it with a tissue for him. The son ate until he couldn't eat any more, then he stopped. Song Chunming pointed to the rest and asked his son if he wanted to take it away. The son waved his hand and said, "Dad, you eat." "Okay, I'll eat." Song Chunming finished the rest. While eating, he asked his son, "What do you want to do after eating? By the way, do you want any gifts?" The son looked at Song Chunming, as if trying to figure out whether what he said was true or false. Song Chunming said, "Really, just tell your father what you want." The son hesitated for a long time, his face turned red, and finally he mustered up the courage to say, "Dad, I want something." "Well, tell me what you want." I want it, Dad, can I really say that?" Song Chunming nodded, "Okay. Then I really said it?" "You say." "I want a Game Boy." An English word suddenly came out of his son's mouth. Song Chunming was stunned, and then asked, "What is it?" "He's just a Game Boy. Nintendo game consoles are so fun. Several students in our class have them." The son's words were an exaggeration. In fact, only one classmate in the class had it. The other classmates were only envious. They said that several classmates had it. They just wanted to prove to Song Chunming the rationality of owning it. Song Chunming said yes, but we have to make an agreement. There are 2 chapters of agreement. First, you can play games after you have done your homework. Playing games cannot affect your studies. Second, hide it and don't be discovered by your mother. If your mother finds out. When Song Chunming said that he had made an appointment, his son nodded desperately. When he said that if your mother finds out, his son spread his hands and said something in Hangzhou dialect, "Then it will be over." Song Chunming laughed. Song Chunming looked at the time and asked his son, "Where can I buy this? Isn't it closed now?" No, there's one right here on Fenki Road. It's open at night." "Have you gone to see it many times?" The son giggled. Song Chunming agreed, "It's not far from here anyway, let's walk there." Song Chunming was about to get up, but his son sat still and asked Song Chunming, "Dad, do we really want to buy a Game Boy?" Song Chunming told the truth. "Dad, this may be a bit expensive." "How much?" The son hesitated, and finally timidly stretched out a finger, maybe 1,000. Song Chunming's nose felt sore. He thought that 1,000 had frightened his son to this point. Today, he took out 400,000 in one go. Song Chunming said, "Go, Dad has money today." "That's great. Let's go buy a Game Boy." My son jumped for joy. "Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore. Thank you Kong Buffy and book friend 160403163531329 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 980. Song Chunming didn't go out until almost 9 o'clock in the morning. He first went to the bank next door to his house. It was useless to come early. The bank didn't open until 9 o'clock. He transferred the money on his card to the company account, walked back, and went to the yard below. Inside, I found a stone bench under the shade of a tree and sat down. He took out his mobile phone and deducted money from Boss Yang first. Boss Yang immediately called back. Song Chunming told him, "Go to our finance department immediately, get a transfer check, and unblock the sales department immediately when you get back." Boss Yang asked, "Song, do you want to humming play with me? There is no money in the account, so you write a bad check to me." Song Chunming got angry, "Our account opening bank is downstairs of the company. You took the check and handed it over at the counter. You don't know if there is any money in the account." Okay, I will believe you once," Boss Yang said. "Hand it back and unblock the sales department for me," Song Chunming shouted, but the other party had already hung up the phone and seemed to be frantic. Song Chunming smiled bitterly and shook his head. He then called the finance department and told her that for the project money owed to Boss Yang, you can write a transfer check and hand it over to Boss Yang when he comes. "Is there money in the account?" "You will be fined for writing a bad check," Mr. Song Finance said. Yes. "Then I'll go down and transfer it to him at the counter." "Write a check. If you transfer it to him, it won't arrive until tomorrow. This bastard will definitely say that he will unblock the sales department when the money arrives. If you give him a check, as long as he takes it, our money will be paid. He when and where to hand it over, it has nothing to do with us, it is all his own business, but I asked him to unblock the sales department for me today." "Okay, I understand, Mr. Song." After finishing all the phone calls, Song Chunming stood up, walked to the carport, unlocked the car, got on his bicycle, and walked to the company calmly. When he arrived at the company, he went directly to the finance department. "Finance and him," he said, "that Boss Yang has already been here and the check has been taken away." "How much money is left on the account?" Song Chunming asked. "More than 193,000. "How much salary is still owed?" 41,224. "After sending this, remember, I still have to tell everyone not to talk nonsense," Song Chunming said. "Okay, I understand," Mr. Song Finance said excitedly. "The remaining money must be kept at 100,000 yuan in the account no matter what, otherwise it will be difficult to make progress. For the rest, you can make a list of urgent debts and let's take a look. If it doesn't work, each family will share a little," Song Chunming said. The finance officer nodded and said yes. After walking out of the finance department, Song Chunming saw Xiaolu in the office hall outside and waved to her. Xiaolu ran over. Song Chunming told her, "After receiving the salary, take your people back immediately. The construction company is now, they should already be tearing down the sales department wall." Xiaolu said yes. Xiaolu took several people from their sales department and left after receiving their wages. 20 minutes later, Xiaolu called Song Chunming and told him, "Mr. Song, the sales department has not yet lifted the lockdown. Still sealed here with bricks. Go find Manager Seong and ask him to send someone to tear down the wall, Song Chunming said. I've already gone to see Mr. Song. Manager Seong said the wall can't be demolished yet, and said you still have money but haven't given it to them. There's still money. What money? I don't know either. I asked him what the money was, but he just ignored me and just told me to go for a walk and not to meddle in other people's business. Where is he now? Song Chunming asked. It's in the office at that construction site. Okay, Xiao Lu, I'll call him right away. Song Chunming hung up the phone in a hurry and immediately called the construction site office. The person who answered the phone happened to be Boss Seong. Song Chunming cursed. What the hell do you mean, after taking the money, the sales department won't immediately unblock it? Unlocking the blockade? Do you think we are having fun? We built it and demolished it, Boss Seong sneered. Artificial bricks and cement, do you think it costs nothing? I run to your office over and over again for no tolls and no cost? On such a hot day, I run like a dog time and time again. No compensation? Do you want me to dismantle it? The wall can be built, but I need another 100,000 yuan, otherwise I won't be able to hire anyone to do the work in such a hot weather. This is humming blackmail, Song Chunming cursed, his lungs about to explode with anger. Yes, what's wrong with me for blackmailing? You can treat me like a fool, but I can't play with you too. If you don't have money, come and dismantle it yourself. But I can tell you, those bricks used to build the wall, but mine are all good bricks. If you break one for 10,000, you may have to pay more than 100,000 in the end, haha. You humming scoundrel. Yes, yes, I am a rogue. A rogue versus a liar, just right. What do you want? You humming, wait, I'll be right over. Song Chunming was furious and yelled at the phone. Okay, I'll wait. If you want to fight hard, I suggest you bring more people. I have more than 100 people here, ha 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 ha. Boss Seong laughed and hung up the phone. Song Chunming was like a headless fly in the office, looking around, trying to find a tool to vent his anger and kill him. He first found a pair of scissors and looked at them. Today's scissors don't even have pointed heads, but have flat heads. Song Chunming threw the scissors away, then found a paper knife and struck it on the table, and the blade broke. Damn this profiteer, what the hell did he send you? He deserves to owe you money, Song Chunming cursed for sending them office supplies. I opened the drawer and saw a pair of nail clippers. After plucking it twice, I felt it was worse than the stapler on the table. I picked up the stapler and clicked it, and a bunch of staples came out. I didn't know how to hold it. What use will it be put to? Still threw it away. Finally, I found a Phillips screwdriver, held it in my hand and waved it twice. I felt that this was still suitable, so I inserted it into my waist. Song Chunming was about to go out when his elder brother rang loudly. He picked up the phone and shouted angrily, "Who is it?" The person on the phone was startled for a moment, then smiled and said, "Hey, Mr. Song, why are you so angry?" Song Chunming recognized it. It was a white shirt. Song Chunming quickly said, I'm sorry. Mr. Song, you haven't told me yet, why are you so angry? The other party said. I was tricked by that bastard named Seong, and the sales department didn't unblock me. I know. I called you and was just about to ask you about this. Mr. Song, did you not give him any money? Here you go, I'll deal with this first thing when I get up early in the morning. You left the tail, but didn't give it all. No, I don't want to argue with this bastard. I gave him everything he deserves. Then why hasn't he been unblocked yet? This bastard said he wanted another 100,000. Why? What's the reason? 100,000 is not a small amount of money. It's the material cost for building the wall, the labor cost, the transportation fee for him to come to my place to ask for money, and the mental damage fee. Does this make sense?
No, that doesn't make sense. Bai Shirt said. Mr. Song, where are you now?
In the office, I'm about to go to the sales department.
What are you going to do?
I'll go find him to settle the score.
What did you get, a submachine gun or a machine gun? The white shirt said with a smile.
Song Chunming was at a loss for words. He didn't know what to say. He couldn't tell the other party that he was carrying a screwdriver. That would make people laugh.
Well, Mr. Song, sit down, be patient, and listen to me.
You can just sit in the office and don't have to go anywhere, the white shirt said. There are some things that you can't do and must be left to professionals. Just wait for the call in the office. You are our customer, and it is our responsibility to serve customers.
Mr. Song, have you sat down?
Sit down.
Is there any water?
No.
Then go get yourself a glass of water.
Song Chunming stood up, picked up the cup, went to pour himself a glass of water, walked back and sat down again, and then picked up the mobile phone.
Has the water been poured, Mr. Song? Asked the white shirt.
Fall down.
Have you sat down?
Sit down.
Okay, Mr. Song, please continue to sit.
The white shirt said and hung up the phone. Song Chunming was sitting in the office, but he was restless. After waiting for almost an hour, his eldest brother rang loudly. As soon as he picked up the phone, Xiaolu shouted from inside, "Tear it down, Mr. Song, we're tearing down the wall." Song Chunming said in surprise, "Really, Xiaolu, are you sure?"
"Make sure, Mr. Song.
When I came over to make a call, it was already half demolished. Manager Xiong brought his people to demolish it. He didn't say anything."
No.
Okay, I'll be right over," Song Chunming said and walked out the door. When he reached the door, he remembered. He pulled out the screwdriver from his waist and threw it on the sofa. Song Chunming directed the taxi and drove directly to the sales department. He found that the walls here had been demolished and the huge glass windows of the sales department were exposed again. Inside, Xiaolu and the others were already doing sanitation. At the door, Xiong the boss is leading people to clean up the remnants on the ground. The joy in Song Chunming's heart was beyond words. He walked over and walked until he was in front of Boss Xiong. Boss Xiong looked up at him, and Song Chunming almost laughed. He saw that Boss Xiong's entire face was swollen, and one of his eyes was black and blue, like a panda. Song Chunming smiled and said, "Boss Xiong, where are your more than 100 people?" Then he thought of something even funnier, and said, "Boss Xiong, you now live up to your name." Boss Xiong glared at him, and then subconsciously looked behind him. Song Chunming saw a van parked on the road outside the sales department. The person sitting in the passenger seat seemed to be the mahjong face. Song Chunming understood. They are supervising the work. No wonder Boss Xiong and the others want to clean this place so cleanly. Song Chunming walked towards the van, but before he could get closer, the van started to drive away. His mahjong-faced face looked straight at Song Chunming without even looking in his direction. Song Chunming froze there, watching the car go away. Song Chunming walked back to the sales department. During the 10 minutes he stayed outside, Song Chunming was already sweating profusely. The cool breeze from the air conditioner in the sales department was so refreshing. Comfortable. Song Chunming found a corner and sat down. He still felt that he should make a phone call to express his gratitude. When he picked up the phone, he encountered a problem. He still didn't even know the last name of the white shirt. However, Song Chunming confirmed at least one thing, that is, the white shirts and the others are indeed not the same group as Boss Xiong.